Alright guys, welcome to our second best of 3 here at the WCS America Qualifier. We have a Terran versus Zerg starting to the top left after defeating Bones in an absolutely dominant fashion. We have ZingZing. And ZergZingZing, that is, starting here to the top left in red as Zerg. Frost is the first map, and starting to the bottom right we have Avilo, the Terran player in green. So this is going to be a pretty interesting game, and a game that a lot of people anticipated. I was very impressed with ZingZing's performance in game number 1. Bones definitely not a pushover opponent, but he really struggled. The Protoss player had not really a chance against ZingZing here. The timings against the third base of the Protoss player were just way too good. So Avilo right now will definitely have his hands full going up against such a strong opponent. This is our first best of 3 here at the WCS America Qualifier. A lot more games coming in today, and I'm really looking forward to them. I hope that you guys are enjoying the show. If you do, you can always express that on Twitter as well, at Khaldor if you so want. And let's see what the two of them are up to in game number 1 here. We currently have the hatch first started for ZingZing, so what you would expect in a Zerg versus Terran, the Zerg player going for the hatch first. And on a big map like this, there's no shame in placing a command center first on the low ground. And yeah, usually I'm a big fan of getting that command center on the high ground for a very simple reason. It just gives you so much more safety, and I feel it's worth it even though you have to float the command center onto the low ground then. On a big map like this, it's a different issue. And we have balls. Balls, maybe not the balls of steel, but balls nonetheless. It's the hatch, the double hatch, double expansion, triple hatch before pool basically. So he is really going for a very economy-based game, and he is not afraid to risk this a little bit. And I like it. I like that a lot, and it's basically the perfect counter against the build that we see here from Avilo. Going into a double hatch before pool is absolutely brilliant if you are up against the command center first. He didn't scout this, but you can of course always anticipate it a little bit. What we see for Avilo is now just a scout. He's moving in and trying to find out, alright, what's going to happen here? What is the opening for ZingZing? Do we have an early gas? Is he going into a very greedy build? And does he even double check? He doesn't see that hatch. So he didn't see it. He saw the overlord. So he just moves in, and he will get a very late confirmation that there is actually a second hatch before the pool. Actually, to be honest, looking at it, he might not see it because the pool is done. The only indicator that he has is that there is no queen and no zerglings just yet. So with that timing, he will probably realize, well, looking at that, maybe there is another base, and he's already double checking. He's already checking right over here, doesn't find anything, but the next spot for the SCV should be a quick stop right at this position to see if there is a bit of creep spread. And I think that's also what's going to happen here. Yep, so he knows. He knows what's going on, and let's see how ZingZing is going to follow this up. For Avilo, on the other hand, we have now in his main base already the second gas taken. And ooh, that was a big lag spike that we had here. Bit of a battle net lag apparently happening, or at least connection. Hope that the players don't experience that. So don't worry guys, that was not on your end, that was actually a battle.net thing, or at least an in-game thing right here. Starport is being taken, and you know what, we could actually, we have double gas already taken. We could see Banshees, and we have already a tech lab being built here right next to the starport as an extension to the barracks. So cloaked Banshees, more thing that we see in Terran versus Terran a lot, but it happens occasionally also against Zerg. It's getting a little bit more popular, especially since in one of the last patches the resources cost for the upgrade got significantly reduced, cut in half. So it looks like this is what we're gonna see here. And we are gonna have our, let's see, there comes the Banshee and there comes the Cloak. So yeah, he's going for it, and we already have the first Spine Crawler just as a safety precaution at the third base of ZingZing. And now, what exactly are we gonna see from Avilo? He's already going for his Hellions, he's still on 2 bases, there's no third CC built just yet, and that's kind of the choice that he had to make. Going into the third CC, or just trying to go for a fast attack, going for a bit more aggression in the early stages of the game, and that's currently what he's doing. Whereas we have for ZingZing already getting the Roach Warren here. So with the Roach Warren, he is of course a little bit better set up against any kind of mech strategies. He's well set up against the early Hellions that are about to be expected. But the Banshees, that's where it's really at. That's a huge threat, especially if it's not scouted. And, well, as I say it, the Zerglings have seen that there is a Banshee, so we should see either additional Queens or a Spore Crawler coming to join soon. There are the additional Queens, and that's what you need. But I would really like to see a few Spore Crawlers now, because we do not have Lair Tech. Without Lair Tech, you do not have detection unless you have Spore Crawlers in the game, and that's why you really need those. This third base is exposed, and one Spine Crawler might not be enough to keep those Hellions at bay. Hellions moving in already, and we have now the extra factories. What you would expect from Avilo. He's going for the max strategy here. He has more of those being built. A third command center already on the way. Zerglings at the front doing a little bit of damage. Can take down the SCV, but another one takes over immediately, and it's very unlikely that the Zerglings are able to break through with the Banshee already trying to defend here. Rest of the army is already moving back, so those Hellions not doing any damage here. If you look at the Harvesters lost, it's 3 workers in total. Not really a whole lot. And we have at the same time now the tech into Lair started. I'm a little bit disappointed that we do not see a bigger commitment with the Banshees. I feel it could have done more damage since there are no Spore Crawlers. There were no Overseers, so he could have done a lot more with the Banshees. And I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't try to utilize that. So, yeah. That taken into consideration, yeah, not quite sure. I think he could have done more there. So taking a few units out, I mean, it's gonna happen. He kills a few Harvesters, but the thing is, the Spore Crawlers are now there. Earlier, he had a chance to really do even more damage. Now he finds his sweet spot where he can make sure that detection is not gonna be an issue. Maybe even taking out a Queen, and actually it looks like that's gonna happen. The Queen's actually attacking themselves. That's always the problem that you have with girls. They're gonna get so jealous. They all wanna have the roach's attention, and then when one of them gets a little bit too bitchy, then they just attack each other. That's one of those cat fights that you have there. It's a little bit weird if you have it with Queens, but yeah, it happens occasionally. So they're just looking for a spot where they can attack right now, and maybe even take down a Queen. Not happening right here. With the energy available for a transfuse, he doesn't hesitate to really use that. But we have a 4th base now coming in. And ZingZing already, yeah, he resigned himself to playing a late game against his opponent. He knows that Avilo is kind of famous for mech and for turtling up quite a bit, so it's just the style that you have to play, and he is already accepting his fate here, trying to just make that work. Spore Crawlers, Spine Crawlers everywhere, trying to make sure that run-bys are not going to be as devastating as they could be, setting his 4th base up, getting the Spire into the picture. And for Avilo, we have now Thors being built. Great, of course, against the potential Muta-list transition. And let's see how he's gonna play with this. That SCV here, by the way, gets away with being really, really lazy. And at the same time, we have now the barracks being attacked. You should be a little bit more careful with the barracks, because if that thing goes down, that's it for factories. I think that's the only barracks that he has. A few units over there. Well, with a few units, I mean one Banshee doing a bit of damage. But let's have a quick look. There is no barracks left, which means that he is being stuck on 5 factories for now. He cannot build additional ones until he builds another factory. So, yeah, sorry, until he builds another factory. Another barracks! Holy Khaldor. Yeah, now we get it though. You got the meaning. Without a barracks, he can't build a factory, so he needs another barracks before he builds additional ones. And here we have that turtle style. Bam! Missile turrets going in to production immediately, and a 4th base here as well, with a planetary already. So, yeah. Let's see what's gonna go on with that. Hopping with the Mutas in there. Let's see, is it gonna be that time? Yeah, actually, no. There is a Widow Mine, and that already hurt. And ZingZing is probably looking at this and is like, I don't want to. So, yeah. Yeah, another snipe here. But as you can see, this is really a heavy turtle style, and this is a nice touch here, going into a double Spire for double upgrades. That could actually work. That could really work. That is a bit old school. We saw that in Rings of Liberty. Goody, for example, had to face that strategy when Nurture was playing against him, and there are a few other players that used that also in Korea, of course. I think Lenok used that in one of his finals as well. If you go for that, you can go for double upgrades, and the armor upgrade helps you a lot against the Thor, so suddenly the Mutalists are viable against what you have to play against. Really nice strategy here with the Harass, just trying to buy himself some time. what is the objective if you're a meching Terran? You try to get your 3rd or 4th base, you try to secure that position, you get your 200 supply army, and you move out, and you just crush everything that is in your path. But as a Zerg, you try to just delay this for as long as you can. Get a good economy, get your lava count up so that you can just go for another set of units, and just move in immediately with a second set, with a second army. What I don't see just yet is an infestation pit for the hive tech, and I really think he should get it. He has the resources to do so, but I feel it would be a great move for him. He also should go for the double upgrades right now. Yeah, but a hive tech would be really important for him. Doesn't start the second attack upgrade just yet, and Mutalisk clustering them up against Thors is a very bad idea. That's something that you definitely should not do. I feel if you're going up against someone that is really known for such a heavy turtle style, Broodlords are gonna be a thing that you definitely need in the later stages of the game. The Mutalisks are there, but you need the detection as well, and detection is granted, so even though a few of the structures go down, not a lot of damage done by those Banshees. So this is a bit of a battle of nutrition, a battle of endurance. Who's going to have the who can sustain these fights for the longest? And with the infestation pit now coming up, you can go either into the swarm hosts, you can go into broodlords later on if you go for the hive tech. This is just something that you have to do. So for the Zerg player, it's really important to keep his cool, to spread creep across the map, to get the bases up, to defend them as best as he can, get a bit of scouting on the map. That's why you need the creep spread. So this is where ZingZing really has to show his mechanics, and he's lacking with the creep spread just a little bit. It's something that he could do a little bit better. But yeah, shutting down additional bases is also going to be a thing, making sure that there are not too many satellite bases. And looking at the structures, we already have 21 missile turrets, but we have the +1 armor upgrade nearly done. Finally, no, the +2 attack upgrade not started, and that's a little bit weird because we do not see the double upgrades in the Spire, and why get the double Spire if you don't go for the upgrades anyways? That doesn't make too much sense. Hive tech has been started though, and I would definitely like him to also go for the Swarm Host upgrades later on. Swarm Hosts are great against mech units, and it's something that in a battle like this on such a big map, you can use, and you should use it. You should definitely use that at some point, and just have those tech switches. That's one of the biggest strengths that you have when you are a Zerg player. You need the tech structures, and then you can easily switch between techs. We have now Ravens coming into play, and that's going to be very important for the point defense drones. So armor upgrade started, attack upgrade as well, and you have to commit at some point. You have to commit to these battles as long as the Thors aren't there. But Avilo is playing this very smart. We have now the Hellbats there, and that's a bit annoying since the Spine Crawlers are not completed. Once again, Mutalisk going in, clustering up. There are 37 of them, and that's why we have such a huge commitment to the upgrades. The double upgrades are very important if you want to go up against that. And I love how ZingZing plays it, just because what I really like here is that he is not afraid to get those extra bases. He's absolutely aware that a satellite base like this or like this at the bottom left is very much exposed, and that there is a high chance that the Terran player will send over a few units and take it down. But he just says, I have the resources anyways, why not build it? If I get something out of that base, it's great for me. If you take it down, that's fine as well. It's 300 minerals, I can spare that. But it just opens him up for a late game, it sets him up for everything that he needs later on, and that's really, really a good job. So, sniping with the Mutalisk and just trying to make sure that he has the better economy here. A very heavily turtle style. And now we have Ultralisk Cavern being built. He should go into Greater Spire once one of the upgrades is completed, and it's just bouncing between bases right now. But at this point, he will have to commit to just something that can siege up on the Terran player's position. And this is why I mentioned the Swarm Hosts earlier. Going in again, trying to find something here. So many Ravens on the other hand. And the danger for a Zerg player is, in my personal opinion also, that the Terran is then gonna switch into a very heavy airplay. Because if you are up against a lot of Ravens, the Seeker missile are gonna do so much damage. And if you have battlecruiser Ravens for Seeker missiles, this is getting very, very nasty. Like, don't underestimate that. I have seen entire 200 supply armies for a Zerg player just disappear within seconds when a Terran player gets a heavy air combat done. So right now that this army is moving out, the Mutalisks are still looking for the opening, and this is really where you would like to have a few Swarm Hosts there. But the danger is, of course, that with the Ravens, the detection is going to be there and that they're going to be gone too much. So at this point, this is where it starts to get very tricky. The 200 supply for the Terran player is there, the 2 upgrades as well, and this is where the army is just moving in, and it's a very strong army. You need to go for the magic box with the Mutalisk, and you need to have the Ultralisk there to tank the first few hits. Vipers are going to be a great addition with the Blinding Cloud for ZergZingZing against Avilo's composition. So this is where really the compositions are gonna battle up against each other. Sacrificing this base is a smart move so that he buys himself some time, because he has additional bases that he can rely on. But here we go. Moving in. Here come those Banelings. Banelings are going at it. And here come the Mutalists as well. Blinding Clouds. Oh, great Blinding Clouds that he has there. And he's moving in immediately. Ultralisk to lead the charge, but he moved back with the Mutalist for just a second. And now we have the magic box there. But does he have what it takes? We have all those Vipers in the picture once again, but way too many Thors, and Avilo is moving in. And he's doing so much damage right now. ZingZing lost entirely too much here. 20,000 resources lost for the Zerg player and only 8,000 for Avilo. The Terran player with this heavy Thor composition is moving in right now. So many Thors, and there's just not a lot that ZingZing can do, and he accepts his fate. He GG's Avilo, wins game number 1 on Frost. And that was just one push out with the mech composition, and he wins the game at that. Frustrating position here for ZingZing to be in, but for Avilo, very patient play, and then moving out with his death ball, with his Terran mech death ball that he has. Steamrolls, takes the fight, wins it, goes into the natural, wins the game, and takes the lead in the best of 3 series with a 1-0.